The Vryn did not understand fear. They had conquered 47 star systems, enslaved a dozen species, and reduced entire civilizations to ash. Their warships hung in orbit like iron gods, and their soldiers moved through the galaxy with the certainty of apex predators. They had encountered humans only twice before, brief skirmishes, minor inconveniences. The Vryn had learned nothing from those encounters except that humans died like everything else. Commander Vale understood this perfectly as he knelt in the dirt of HFY 9, blood streaming from the gash across his chest. The Vryn patrol had caught him outside the settlement perimeter, separated from his reconnaissance team. 3 of them surrounded him now, their chitinous armor gleaming in the dual sunlight, plasma rifles trained on his center mass. But Vale wasn't alone. Hidden in the rocks 30 meters away, a dozen pairs of eyes watched. The Kefron cubs, juvenile members of the feline-like species humanity had been protecting for the past 8 months, pressed their small bodies against the stone, ears flat, tails rigid with terror. They had followed Vale on his morning patrol despite his warnings, curious and playful as always. Now they watched as the Vryn captain raised his rifle, aiming at Vale's head. Your kind should have stayed in your own corner of the galaxy. Human, the Vryn hissed in broken common tongue. You die here. Your settlement dies tomorrow. The cubs you protect will make excellent servants once we break their spirits. Vale spat blood onto the alien's boot. You really don't know us at all, do you? The rifle fired. Vale's body crumpled, the shot tearing through his shoulder instead of his skull, a deliberate choice to make him suffer. The Vryn laughed, their mandibles clicking with amusement as they walked away, confident in their superiority. In the rocks, Eric, the eldest cub at barely 10 cycles, felt something crack open inside his chest. He had known Commander Vale since the humans arrived. Vale had taught him to read stellar charts, had shown him how to fix the settlement's water purifiers, had carried Eric's youngest sister on his shoulders when she was too tired to walk. Vale had bled for them, was bleeding still, his body trembling in the dirt, and the Vryn had laughed. Aric's claws extended involuntarily, scraping against stone. Around him, the other cubs trembled, not with fear anymore, but with something new. Something hot and terrible that burned in their throats like swallowed fire. We get help, whispered Mara, Aric's clutchmate. We run to settlement. No! Aric growled, and his voice carried an edge that made the others fall silent. We've watched the humans train. We've seen their tactics. We know their weapons. His amber eyes fixed on Vale's fallen form, then tracked to the Vryn patrol moving back toward their dropship. The humans taught us to survive. Now we teach the Vryn what humans have been trying to tell them. What's that? Asked Kes, the smallest of the group. Aric's lips pulled back from his fangs. That you never ever hurt a human's cubs. The Vryn dropship never left atmosphere. 12 Kefron cubs, creatures the Vryn had dismissed as harmless, primitive beneath notice, moved through the ravine like whispers of smoke. They had studied human guerrilla tactics during countless evenings in the settlement, watching training hollows while Vale explained concepts like suppressing fire and flanking. Maneuvers. The humans had thought it was educational play the cubs had been learning. War Aric led them to the dropship's landing site, where the Vryn patrol was preparing for departure. The cubs had no plasma rifles, no military-grade weapons, but they had the settlement's maintenance tools, human-forged climbing claws, and something the Vryn could never anticipate, a species of natural ambush predators driven by grief and rage. They struck at twilight, when HFY 9 shadows grew long and deep. Kes and 2 others sabotaged the dropship's engines with stolen plasma cutters, their small size allowing them to slip beneath the hull unnoticed. Mara's group created a distraction, a controlled explosion in the nearby fuel depot that sent Vryn soldiers scrambling. And when the patrol captain emerged from the ship, barking orders, Eric dropped from the rocks above. His claws found the gaps in the alien's armor that he'd memorized from Vale's tactical briefings. His fangs closed on the vulnerable joint between helmet and collar. The Vryn captain had time for one surprised scream before Eric's clutchmates descended like a fury of teeth and rage. The battle lasted 7 minutes. When it ended, 12 cubs stood among the wreckage of a Vryn patrol, their fur matted with alien blood, their eyes burning with something that would never quite leave them. Check the human, Eric commanded, his voice steady despite the trembling in his limbs. They found Vale still breathing, barely. As they dragged him toward the settlement, the commander's eyes flickered open. "You shouldn't have," he whispered. "You bled for us," Ariok said simply. "The humans have a saying, no one left behind." "We understand now." The Vryn fleet arrived at Kefron 9 the next morning, expecting to find their advance patrol in a defenseless settlement. Instead, they found their dropship destroyed, their soldiers dead, and the human settlement armed and ready. But more than that, they found 200 Kefran adults standing beside the humans with their cubs at the forefront. The cubs who had learned rage, who had learned that some bonds were worth burning the sky for. Commander Vale, his chest wrapped in emergency medical gel, stood at the settlement's comm station. His message to the Vryn fleet was brief. "You made a mistake. You hurt a human in front of his cubs. Now they know what we are, what we teach, what we become when you threaten our own." He paused, his eyes hard. "Leave this system. Tell your empire what happened here. Tell them that humans don't just fight for themselves. We fight for those who bleed beside us." The Vryn fleet hung in orbit for 17 minutes, their sensors reading the unified defensive position below. Human tactics merged with Kefran ferocity. Then, for the first time in their empire's history, the Vryn retreated. On the surface, Ariok stood beside Vale, watching the ships disappear into the black. "Did we do right?" the cub asked quietly. Vale's hand rested on Ariok's shoulder. "You did what humans have always done. You protected your family. You stood when others would run." He looked down at the young Kefran, seeing not a cub but a warrior forged in blood and loyalty. The galaxy just learned that humanity isn't just a species. It's an idea. An idea spread. Above them, the sky was clear. But in 1,000 Vryn systems, the message was already traveling. There was a world where cubs had learned to roar, where humans had taught them that family was worth any price, and the galaxy would never be the same.